that seems so fierce, but in the word of God, I've got an anchor, and it keeps me steadfast and unmovable despite the tide. But if the storms don't cease, and just in case the wind they keep on blowing in my life, my soul, been anchored. In the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord. My soul been anchored in the Lord. My soul be anchored. My soul be anchored. My soul be anchored. My soul be anchored.
Alexa, turn off. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky, this Sunday edition, my last Sunday edition, actually. I want to thank everybody from Facebook and my YouTube followers for Tea Time with Bunky. I want to thank my new TikTok Bunky Bunk followers. I appreciate you all so much. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and follow. Tell people that they can watch the show after. You know, if you miss a show, you can always rewatch it. There's just something I have to say. I have Mr. Tyler Hutchens on. He'll correct me if I said his name wrong. Hopefully I said it right. Had him on. But I just need to explain something about Tea Time with Bunky. Tea Time with Bunky is about a conversation. It's a conversation. It is an area where people can talk about their ideas, what they want to do. Just like anybody else, he has a right to run for office. I've had to block a couple of people because, you know, the things that you guys were saying were totally inappropriate. And Tea Time with Bunky is not that platform. I'm not that one that's going to condone all that hate and all the irresponsible meanness that goes on in some of those pages, which it came off of Uncensored Sullivan County and it came from Sullivan Post. I am not that one. You will not get that platform on here to just spread your meanness and your nastiness. Now, after I got that off my chest, I just need to tell y'all because it's about a conversation. This is not an endorsement. Out of all of my candidates, people that were running, they knew that this was a conversation. This is not an endorsement. So right now, I'd like to welcome Mr. Tyler Hutchens. Did I say your name right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful today. I'm doing wonderful.
Sorry about that. I had to get that off my chest.
It's all right. It's all right.
Okay, so tell the people a little bit about who you are.
All right. Well, you know, first of all, I'm definitely a Sullivan County native. You know, pretty much born and raised here. I moved up here when I was about 5-6 years old. I've lived in Monticello for the most remainder of my life since then. Attended Monticello High School, elementary school. Went to SUNY Sullivan. Went to SUNY School to finish my 4-year degree. Moved back home after being out of state for about a year to help out my family. Started to have a family of my own and decided that I wanted to help out my community. And over a course of about a year or two of helping out my community in other ways and deciding what other steps to take, this was the jump I decided to make for myself and for the community.
Okay, now let me ask you, what was your degree in?
My degree is in business management with a specialty in sports management. Okay. I was a teacher for a while, a sports teacher and a basketball coach at a private school in Middletown for a short while. but other than that, my degree was leading towards one way, my career options, and then just life happens, you change passions, you change ideas. And then, it wasn't ever about the money or choosing a different, more financial path. It was always about following my passion.
And your passion was sports.
My passion was sports. My passion was basketball. And especially working with children overall. I've worked with children since before I graduated high school. And then right out of high school, I was working with children at the local elementary schools. I was running local camps. I ran the local YMCA camp at the town of Thompson for a couple of years. Working from a counselor up to like sports director to co-director of the camp. I ran before and after school programs at the elementary schools in Monticello, and same progression there, going from a regular employee to supervisor to directing the program. I was also a substitute teacher. So working with children was always my passion. Anything to do with the community and helping the place that I lived and that I grew up in, and had a fun childhood in. So,
Now, what made you want to run for sheriff? Like, that's still, when I think I heard about it in June.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course I asked my boys, I'm like, y'all ever hear of him? They was like, oh yeah, we know who he is. I'm like, okay. I'm like, but what made him run for sheriff? They're like, I don't know. So ask him, basically. So I'm asking you, what was it?
Well, the thing that made me run for sheriff, people forget that it is just an elected position.
It is.
Just like somebody decides to run for mayor, decides to run for, treasurer, coroner, council, school board, anything. It's just a position that's up for vote, and you think that you can fill and make the best decisions and better the area that it serves.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The reason maybe the sheriff specific is because of course I'm sure especially you and your family are well endowed into the law enforcement community, so you guys know the ins and the outs. That the law enforcement is really where this not only this country but just our small communities overall are lacking in let's just say different ideas that keep up with the change of culture and the change of times. And at the end of the day, I'm in this for the long run, but I'm also in this to make change now. And you can make change through laws and all that, but that takes time. But somebody needs to be able to make the decisions that need to be made now that haven't been put on paper yet because of the time it takes for laws and just overall governments and societies to keep up with the culture and the normal everyday way of life.
Okay. Because Sheriff Schiff has been in position for a long time.
Yes.
Now I don't know him personally. I don't know him because I try not to have any contact with law enforcement.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, no contact. But I've heard some good things about him.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some bad things about him.
Okay.
And he was my son's boss, who doesn't talk about anything. So I don't have like a personal gain or loss.
Yeah.
Either way, he has a career which started in 1977 in law enforcement, right? So you're going to have people that come up against you, because that was a couple of questions that people were saying, but they were going about it really nasty. That's
I've seen a couple of things. I don't really have social media. I only have Facebook. I literally have no other forms of social media. So I'm not really involved. I keep that. It's poison to the mind. You got to keep that. Keep that out of your head. So
yeah. Now, I saw something which made me want to ask you. Now it says that you are writing. So is it a write-in?
I was, before I decided to run, when I was just entertaining the idea of running, maybe this year, maybe the next election, maybe further down in my life, it was made known to me from an inside source that was very reliable that this was Michael Schiff's last year running. Essentially, this was this election this year, and then in the next 4 years, we're gonna have a new sheriff regardless of how. Okay. Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've been told, and I haven't heard anybody, contradict that yet. So until I hear otherwise, that's what I'm going to go with. Maybe this might change his mind. Maybe he might decide to run again. At the end of the day, it's not about Michael Schiff. It's not about Tyler Hutchens. It's about the Sullivan County.
Right.
But I asked for the question about him being here a long time. Yeah, he's been here great, and I'm gonna say something that I've said in every other interview. I applaud the sheriff's department, especially the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department. You know, in my 30 years of being alive, having to deal with law enforcement through every walk of life, between just running events, being on the wrong side of the law, being on the right side of the law. If there's any police department that I've come across in my entire 30 years of living, Sullivan County Sheriff's Department it has set the bar to the top. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's good.
They are the people I would prefer to handle any legal, thing that goes on with me and my family, followed by the Monticello Police Department. I applaud them as well. We do have great community policing in our local area.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not out here saying anybody's doing anything wrong.
Right.
I'm not out here bad mouthing anybody, but if it is the end of an era, then somebody new has to come in and that's why I'm here, to offer my services and my time, my effort.
That's why people run.
Yep. That's why we do
people, it. You see things, and your reasoning for wanting to run is it's
Well, the question was about the write-in. Once I did hear his this was his last year running, I decided that it was time to start getting my name out there. Right. Really for the next election, because we all know, we could talk reality. Everybody likes to bring up, well, if you're running, you could technically win. We all know that, but we all know reality sets in, and Mike's just been here for a long time. He's going to win again this year, no matter who else runs, unless it was a real hard fought, somebody really tried and really wanted to.
Right.
The point of starting this year was to get my name out there, because you can't pop up in 4 years and be a nobody and nobody know who you are.
Right.
You gotta start now. And whether people want to badmouth or be excited about it, it doesn't really matter. The fact is from now until the next election, they will get to know me. They will know who I am, and then those bad mouths or those good opinions will be coming from facts and knowledge, and not just from fear of change and fear of losing something that they have because of who's in position now.
That's commendable. I respect it. You're putting your name out there, so it's not like you're running to actually win, even though it could happen or it couldn't happen, either or, but just so that people know who you are. So when they hear that name, they're like, oh, well, that's the young. I call you young because you're my kid's age. So don't, it's not disrespectful or anything.
No, I understand.
That's the guy that was running against Sheriff Schiff during his last term. So that's good. They have a face, a voice, and that's what Tea Time is about. It's about giving a face and a voice, personality with the poster. That's basically what Tea Time does.
And I'm real big on communication. I'm real big on the way you approach things and the way you talk to people. And I really liked, for my campaign since the day it started, to just have things said in certain ways. A lot of people, like you said, I'm running against Schiff. Right. That is not at all what it is. There's no one against Schiff. Just that terminology makes it sound a little controversial. I'm running for the position, for the county. You don't run against something. You run for something. That's what politics is.
Politics is so corrupt.
But
just the way they made it. The way they made it.
But how it's made for is that you run for something.
Right.
You're not running against a person or against an idea. You're running for your own ideas, for your own positivity, for your own community, and that's it. So I just like to, for myself, when I describe things, I'm not running against Schiff. This is not me versus Schiff. This is me and the county versus all of our problems.
And that's how it should be seen, but that's not how these people see it.
Oh, and that's okay. And because when I do read these comments and see what's said,
don't read them.
Listen, as a person, a human, especially from this county, I understand where it's all coming from. It's coming from fear. It's not coming from fear that I'm not qualified. It's coming from fear that they're going to lose something that they feel that they have or have gained because of who's in that position now. And they're in fear that when that person leaves and someone else is in that position, they're going to lose something. And I can promise everybody of the county that you will not lose anything. Nothing will be lost. No rights, no freedoms, no abilities, no relationships will be lost. The only thing I'm here to do is to gain and to make better.
Okay, now to go off of that. Now, when I have people on my show, I always try to find what I can, because I need to be able to have a conversation with you.
Oh yeah.
And see what. But I came across something that disturbed my whole spirit.
Oh man.
Yeah. On your Facebook page.
Okay.
There is a picture of you standing really comfortable in front of a Confederate flag.
Okay.
Please explain that.
I was at a Leonard Skinner concert at Bethel.
I don't know. If you're really not a gospel artist, I really don't know who you are.
Leonard Skinner is a southern band. They sing that song "Sweet Home Alabama."
Oh, sweet. Okay, I know that song.
Yeah. So that I mean, if you pull into that parking lot, you're not gonna go 10 feet without seeing a Confederate flag. That one wasn't even literally a Confederate flag. It had like a motorcycle thing on it. You know, it's a funny thing. I went with my friend Cedric, and he was you know, he came to the thing. He's black, and he was looking around. He was like, I've never seen this many Confederate flags before in my life. He was like, but I've never been around so many friendly people. You know, and it was so funny. But yeah, that's where I was at, and that's what it was.
No, I mean, I get that.
Yeah,
I totally get that. But can you understand where I'm coming from with that?
Yeah.
Right there, it's a problem. So I'm just saying for future, if you want to edit it or whatever, or you can't, whatever. When I saw that, instantly the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I'm gonna be honest, and it doesn't matter how friendly people are or whatever, because you can have the friendliest killer, and he's so friendly. I'm just saying, I'm not saying you're a killer.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, those are just the type of things you need to keep in the back of your mind, because you're going to come across somebody like me that's going to have a problem with it. You know, that's just future down the road.
No, understandable. I definitely understand the issues with the symbolism that it has, but to directly relate it as if it's a close thing in my life or to me or something that I represent, it's just a background of a photo. Of a truck I'm on, you know, I'm not waving it, holding it around. You know what I'm saying? You know, like that's different. I'm sure if there was 10 pictures, that'd be a different story as well. But I mean,
no, it only takes one background. I mean, because I'm not even going to go into it. But if I had a picture of something and just behind me, and I'm like, it's just behind me, it doesn't represent who I am or whatever, but it's offending the people behind me, then it's a problem. So you just got to be conscious of that. You know, I'm not coming at you. I'm just saying.
No. I'm just saying it's also context. It's also context. Like right now, I'm obviously in a home, most likely my own home. There's a picture of John F. Kennedy behind me.
And I just saw him because I can't see.
Most likely that's me. That's mine, and that's something I support.
Right.
But just being outside, you know what I'm saying? Just being outside with flags, with trucks behind you. Regardless of positioning, you know what I'm saying?
No.
I mean, we can skip over it. Literally,
let's just keep it in the back of your mind. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, if I'm sure while you were looking through my pictures, I'm pretty sure you also noticed that I'm in a black fraternity.
No, listen, I didn't go through.
No, I'm just saying, but that's what I'm saying. It's out of context. You know, if somebody, not you, but if somebody was bringing up like, oh, that candidate I saw a photo of him with the flag, with the Confederate flag, and it's like, well, why would you fail to bring up the 30 pictures of him before that with in a black fraternity with, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, because people aren't. They're gonna pick that one bad picture. You should know that. They're gonna pick that one bad thing. You can have a whole truckload of great pictures of you working in the community, of you giving back, and they're going to find that one picture. Just like when somebody had made that terrible comment, my response to them was, everybody has something in their background that they wish they can change, that somebody's going to pick out and totally erase all the good that you did, because they're going to focus on that one bad thing.
And unfortunately, those are the people who we
have nothing better to do.
That not only that, who we don't even want making our decisions in our community, who we don't want giving their opinions. Those are the people who, when they become police officers, they do make decisions based on seeing one thing one time and then going like, well, oh, what? He's got an NWA bumper sticker. This guy must not like the police. You know what I'm saying?
I was getting ready to say who was NWA, but I caught. See, I don't know.
I'm just saying. But people who jump to those type of conclusions with just the out of context information are the people who it's like, well, we shouldn't be listening to you anyway. Not that we shouldn't be listening to you because I respect you and your family, and that's not at all what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's not. This isn't even about me. It's a conversation.
Awesome. And I do want to bring up something about your family. Your son is Jason, correct? Officer Corley?
No,
not Jason. Officer
that's
Corley.
my ex-husband.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Russell?
The one you had on, the one that you just had on.
Yeah, that's my ex-husband, Sergeant Corley. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, if there's anybody who, even my friends know, my girlfriend, my mother know. No, listen. If there's anybody who helped like shift my life into a more positive direction, it was Officer Corley. I'll tell you a story right now. I bring it up all the time.
That's good.
Listen, one time Officer Corley, even he wasn't at my house, but he was out my road one time handling a thing with the Hasidic Jews. And I came outside and I was like, hey, and I was like, listen, I just have to tell you this, it's been on my mind for a long time. He called 9th grade, my freshman year of high school, right? He called me into his office. It's first period math class, rough morning. You know what I'm saying? I'm a freshman in high school. I get called into Officer Corley's office. I'm just like, what did I do now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He sits me down. We're sitting there. He just goes, Tyler. I was like, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing? He was like, look at you. And I'm looking at myself, and he's right. I got like a Dickies suit on, like if I'm from Compton. I'm looking, and I had no answer for him. I really had no answer for him, and that made me really look. And he gave me a little speech. We talked a little bit, but I'm telling you that moment of someone asking me, literally taking the time, knowing who I am, knowing that the person I am, knowing that I'm going down the wrong path, and to be like, what are you doing? And me to not have an answer really woke me up. Shit, you're right. You're right. I don't know, and let me figure it out by starting to make changes. So all respects to him. He's a great person. He said a couple things yesterday on the interview where he was talking about community policing, and when he gets out of the car, people know it's him, and it helps him handle situations. And he's an ideal example of the police officers that we need in our community. And in all honesty, I'm sure, I don't know if this will get him in trouble or not, but if I don't run, he would have my vote in a heartbeat if he ran.
He's not running.
I just want to throw that out there. But as an example of the character of officers that we need in our community, he sets the bar. And much respects and thank you to him and the family.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that right there. I'll make sure I tell him.
I told you I had to take him to the side one day and tell him personally myself. So he knows this is not the first time I'm hearing this.
Because that's what it's about, really. Like the policing, and people at some point that don't know me had this wrong vision of me, because I'm not anti-police, but I just don't like bad policing. Yeah. How can I be anti-policing?
No,
when my son is a cop and my whole family? Like that's stupid.
Yeah.
But it's good police officers and sergeants and chiefs and sheriff, everybody that's in position. Like he said, you're there to protect and to serve, not just a certain group of people.
Yeah,
it's everybody. So what are the requirements to become a sheriff? The requirements to become, because people have this all messed up. They forget the elected official position. But what are the requirements?
And that's part of my campaign too, is kind of just getting the message out that, hey, this position, this elected position, with lack of a better term, has kind of been taken over, infiltrated by the law enforcement community. And rather it being a elected position, it's become kind of the end of the ladder, end of the road, promotional, top of the level, police hierarchy. And it's not what it is. If it was meant to be that, it would just be a promotable position once you get to that, experience and age. But it's not. It's an elected official. The only requirements for the Sullivan County Sheriff, especially in New York, every state is different. New York, you just have to have a clean record. You can't be convicted of a felony. You can't be convicted of falsifying document, any sort of like lying, any sort of forging of anything. You're instantly ineligible. You just have to be a member of the county, and that's it. When it comes to being a public official, the people who vote decide what your eligibility is. They decide if you're eligible or not. They decide whether your experience and your knowledge and what you have is what it is enough to be elected to that position, because they're the ones who choose. There's no, like you said, it's not like I said, there's not a hiring process. There's not a promotional hierarchy. It's an open position that if you can get the support to run and be on the ballot, then people can vote for you, and if not, they can write in. So at the end of the day, it's the people's decision on whether you're qualified or not.
Okay, now let me ask you though. Don't you feel that you should have some sort of criminal justice knowledge so that you'll know the ins and outs?
I have plenty of criminal justice knowledge. If you're talking about experience, if you're talking about do I need hands-on experience, let me ask you this: Would the same people who asked that question want somebody who did 30 years in prison to run for sheriff? You would think most likely not. So then why? So that's on this end of the scale. Why would we want somebody on the complete opposite end of the scale in that position? 30 years on law enforcement, 30 years in prison. Two total opposite ends of the spectrum, two totally different opinions, biased. You don't need that. You need somebody.
Yeah, there is biases.
Yes, 30 years of police enforcement, you cannot be the middleman for the citizens and the police and the law because you've lived on one side for so long. Right. It's almost impossible. You need somebody in the middle. And that's the whole reason the sheriff's position is still an elected position, because you're supposed to be the defender when the government and the police are doing wrong, and also when the citizens are doing wrong. You're supposed to protect the community, not only against other private citizens doing harm on them, but you're supposed to protect them against the law enforcement and private and public forces like local governments and state governments from breaking laws and violating citizens' rights. So you have to be the middleman. So you need to have some sort of neutrality.
Right, you do. I get that, you do, but you also have to know. I feel, with my son being sort of new to this, right? He's sort of new to this. I would want someone that's his boss to have been where he is. You know what I mean by, okay, now Ro, he's done the deputy thing, right? Well, he was a correction officer. He's done the deputy thing, and now he's in the Academy for New York State Troopers, right? So he's been on the ground. He's been in the trenches. He's done some of the work. To have someone that knows how he feels, that's in that spot, to be able to pull him aside and be like, well, Officer Corley, A, B, C, D, E, look out for AB because I know this or I know that. But if you have never done it, I'm just playing the devil's advocate, being an officer's mom.
Yeah.
I want somebody with experience to be able to be like, look, if it comes down to it and I gotta go out there with you, if I have to go, because a lot of people in positions, they don't even do that anymore. I'm not just talking about sheriff, I'm just talking about anybody. They don't go out anymore. But if you had to go out there with him, you see what I'm saying? You have the experience to protect my baby that's out there in those crazy streets and know what to look for.
Well, I'm glad you're wording it like that, because I think I have a good response for that.
Okay.
So it's a two-part response. First off, the requirements for undersheriff are a lot.
That's Shabotley, right?
Yes, the requirements to be undersheriff are a lot more than sheriff. Mm-hmm. They are what you're talking about. You need to have experience. You need to have this. You need to have that. Because at the end of the day, the sheriff is more of an elected position for administrative, and he just happens to have a gun and a badge because he's top law enforcement officer. He doesn't, sheriffs don't have to carry around guns or badges. They can just walk around as a sheriff, just like old school movies. We're still kind of in that groove of things that can happen. But the undersheriff is really who handles the direct hands-on supervision and responsibilities of the police forces. So that's why so New York State already designed it that way for when an elected official becomes sheriff and they don't have the 30 years of experience, because it's not required, that the undersheriff is more than qualified to handle the things that the sheriff may not be exactly expert on. As for being hands-on and showing up to places and having to pull an officer aside or talk to somebody or have the knowledge that you're asking or requiring. Well, two things. One, first of all, we're all, as citizens of this community, as this country, we're not required, but should have knowledge of the general, justice system, law enforcement. We all. I just had jury duty. Just had jury summons. Just got cleared.
Love jury duty.
So just the fact that we have jury duty says that every single citizen of our country should have the knowledge and ability to fill that sheriff position. Because if you have the ability to be on a jury, to listen to a legal case, to listen to all that, and then make a decision on guilty or not, then you should have the decisions that a sheriff should be able to make. Plus, obviously, all the extra knowledge that you have. I am enrolling in law school. There's a lot of extra stuff to it. But at the end of the day, The sheriff is not down there kicking down doors. He's not putting on a wetsuit in the dive team. It's not what people always think when it comes to law enforcement. It's an administrative position.
Right. No, I'm getting that. I'm totally getting that. But me personally, I would want, if I'm working under people, I would want my boss's assistant, right? And my boss to have known what I'm going through, or how, or they when I say know what I'm going through, like, okay, I'm a caseworker.
Okay,
I'm a caseworker. My supervisor was a caseworker. Okay. Her supervisor was a caseworker, even though they're far removed from it, but they were at one point. Her boss, my supervisor boss, they have degrees in like social work and different things like that. So there's little ins and outs, different things that a social worker, a caseworker, human service worker, counselors, there are certain things that we have to know, and we actually practice that. Like when I was going to school for, I have a year to finish my master's in clinical mental health counseling. We had to actually practice counseling. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So we're actually practicing it. So we know exactly what is going on. Even though it's an elected position, this is why these are difficult conversations. I just feel that
say what you gotta say.
a sheriff needs to have that hands-on experience, even though you're elected. But don't just be elected because I'm best friends with so and so, but be elected because you have not just the simple minimum qualifications, but also have the physical experience that your officers are going to go through. Do we need a change? Yes, we need a change. Like apparently with most of Sullivan County, we need a change. But
yeah,
how can you be a change if you can't relate to?
Well, like you were saying, you were talking about caseworking and stuff like that. That's all specialized. You know, whether you're a restaurant worker, a caseworker, you're a vet, those are all specialized things. When it comes to policing and sheriff, this is nothing special. This is nothing nobody knows about. This is everyday life. Everybody knows the laws. Everybody should know the laws.
Well, I don't know all the laws. I'm telling you, I don't.
But unfortunately, we are us as citizens are treated as if we're supposed to know them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
And that's where a couple issues lie. But when it comes down to it, where was I going? My apologies. I got.
That's all right.
There's just experience being hands-on on a job, and then there's experience in life. And when it comes to policing, it's almost one and the same. Police aren't doing stuff behind closed doors that nobody knows about. I don't know what a caseworker does in their office. I don't know what a doctor's doing, to patients behind closed doors. But I see what the police are doing. I know what the police are doing. I'm the one the police are doing things to. You're the one that police are doing things to. We're required to work under all these laws, all the rules and laws and vote codes that they're supposed to know, enforce, all the procedures they're supposed to know. We're supposed to know as well. All this information is not private. It's not secret that only they get. We all have it. We all know it. I know it. I'm sure you know a lot of it. All you have to do is study a bit, buy a couple books, go out there, firsthand experience. I'll tell you right now, I'm undefeated in trials. I have not had a lawyer in 3 years. There's a flaws to our justice system and our law enforcement community that just being a cop does not help in, because you have a bias thing. You think everybody should just listen to you because that's what's the safest thing to do because you have the authority, and that's not what it comes down to. When we think about hands-on experience, the laws are what they are. The rules are what they are. The laws already check off all the boxes. Is it good for us? Is it necessary? Does it keep us safe? But the laws, the boxes that the laws do not check are the moral ones. Is this ethically right? Is this morally right? Is this psychologically demeaning? Is this physically aggressive? And those are things that sometimes as your experience as a cop, you can look over and ignore those things because you put yourself in the shoe of the officer. And it's not always about that. It's about both parties. So you need only had experience in one shoe, you can't. There's literally no way. And I haven't been a cop, but I've worked in corrections. I'm going to law school. There's plenty of experience. There's plenty of knowledge under my belt that if people want to have open conversations and debates and really learn and dig about what I know, my experiences, my knowledge, my expertise in law, legal, justice system, they could come to my trials. They could, they're all traffic tickets. There's nothing crazy. They could do whatever they need to do. They could just listen to my talks for the next 4 years until I get elected. They'll realize. Yes, you can go.
So those, when you said you haven't had to have a lawyer in 3 years, that was personal.
Oh yeah, that's all.
Okay, we don't need to get into that.
No,
I was just like, what?
We get traffic tickets all the time. First of all, I work nights. I'm driving around. I leave my house at about anywhere from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm not getting home till 2, 3 p.m. I get pulled over consistently. Or
especially now that you're running,
because I'm not at nighttime. Yeah, especially because at nighttime. And I'll tell you, most I when I have a legitimate ticket, I'll accept it, I'll pay it, and I'll move on. But I'm gonna say at least 75% of them are nonsense. Most of them are from state troopers. 100% almost of my nonsense tickets come from state troopers. And that, I mean, we could get into that thing if we want to, because that's another reason I'm running, is because we have a big problem with the law enforcement relationship with our community. Yeah. Beginning with the larger law enforcement agencies, because they're able to bring officers, or as they would rudely correct you if you called them troopers, to areas that they don't live in. Monticello police are guarding are patrolling Monticello. They're people, they're friends, they're family, they're people, places, the business that they go to, they care about. It's a different relationship. Same thing with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department. When it comes to state troopers, you got Troop F coming out towards Sullivan County. Troop F is based in Middletown. Those people don't care about anybody who's going through our county or who's in our towns.
Well, not all, because I can't say that now, especially since my role is becoming a trooper. And I have to say, the things that those men and women go through to become state troopers is not easy. It's not a game. Like, those people go through it to protect and serve, and some of them do. Some of you do. I know several troopers that are really good people that are from the county community, and they're really good people. So I know plenty
of troopers at the Woodsboro barracks who are friends of mine I grew up with. They're, we're talking Officer John Lacey, Officer Devin Depew. They're great people. I would vouch for them throughout my whole time knowing them, that they're great, honest people. They're great cops. Ray Cash, I'm pretty sure he's an officer at that barracks too. These are great people. But they're great because when they pull you over, they know you. They're nice to you. They're polite to you. Right. They're part of a community. They'll tell you to slow down. They'll give you a reduced ticket. Be like, listen, I can't give you a break today. You actually were going. They'll do stuff like that. But the problem is when there's people coming to patrol, they have the same problem in bigger inner cities. Just because we're not an inner city, complaining about the white suburban cops coming to police the poor minority communities, it's the same way here. We have the Orange County cops coming to patrol here, going back home being fine. Right. And that's not what it is. That's not fair.
No, it's not. And you know what? And that's actually in their character. It's not because, like, you have some, I call them bullies with badges. There are some people that should not have the uniform on.
Well, let me ask you a question, just as a person, just as people who drive. Absolutely. When you're driving down the highway late at night, tell me what the...
I don't drive late at night. I can't see.
Listen, so I'll tell you right now, when I'm driving down the road late at night and there's a state trooper parked in the middle of the highway in the median with his spotlights on and his headlights shine bright into my vehicle and oncoming traffic, tell me how that's helping me, and tell me how that's keeping me safe. Tell me how that's not invading my privacy, shining a bright spotlight in me as I'm driving by.
Well, when I used to drive late at night, that's especially when you have night blindness. There's a lot of issues.
It's a hazard.
It's a total hazard. Because you can't drive with your brights on.
I can't, a ticket, but especially you can't sit in the middle of the highway with two spotlights and my brights on, shining it literally into oncoming traffic so I can see in their cars. But that's what we accept as a society because of the fear we have of speaking up about injustices against little things like that. If they're just always going to push and push and push, when are we going to start pushing back, and when are we going to start doing things in ourselves and standing up for what's right when it's too late? It's not I. And you ask why I ran for this. big reason is because I have a daughter. She's about to be 1 on Thursday. I decided I'm going to live there for her. Thank you. Right. I'll let her know. In 20 years, things are happening and the rights that were violated. What am I going to do? Show her my memes that I made, the funny memes I made on Facebook? Or am I going to be able to say that I at least tried to do something? I spoke up, I got up and did something and tried. Right. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Whether other people think I'm right or wrong, they can sit on Facebook and make memes about it and comment on Sullivan County Uncensored. But if they're not going to go vote, if they're not going to go out in the community and do something themselves, then I don't want to see their photoless Facebook pages with no photos, not your real name. I'm just saying that's the type of people that's why I don't listen to it. That's why I don't see it. It's nonsense. This is not about them. This is not about making anybody happy. This is about doing what's right for the community when a lot of people are turning a blind eye to things that are going on that are not right.
Well, that's what people do. I'm learning. They sit home and they have these fake multiple pages and they troll because they have nothing better to do. And it makes them seem relevant. Like I won't give them a platform. Those people, they just don't matter to me. But I commend you for running. Because you want to make a change, you do something about it. Like when George Floyd was killed, me and my son, we did the protest here in Fallsburg because there wasn't going to be anything. You want to make a change, you have to be about it. Difficult conversations. Because I'm not that person that's going to go out there. You will never see me running for anything. Yeah. Nothing. But I want to make a change. I have a conversation. I bring it to the forefront. But the thing with the lights, right? Let me ask you, did you call?
Every time.
You called and made a complaint.
Every time.
That's right. Document. But I'm not, please don't think I'm trying to discourage you in any way.
Oh, no. Oh, listen, I am running for sheriff. It doesn't look like I can be discouraged from doing anything.
Well, you're right, because aren't you nervous?
I'm not as nervous as when I just drive down the street late at night and a cop pulls up behind me. That's the problem. This is nothing. What's nervous is thinking that, hey, this guy can just pull me over, and I stopped even talking to them. I just hand them a lawyer's card. Here you go. Wow. I don't talk anymore. And then they get mad, throw stuff back at me. You're not even worth it. Oh. Thanks. Like that's. But
but if it's any consolation, it's not just at night. I get nervous driving down the street during the day.
Listen, and isn't that a shame that the people that are paid to protect you, you start to fear when they come behind you? When I'm driving down Broadway and a cop pulls up behind me, I should instantly think, wow, I'm so safe right now. I can't get carjacked. If something crazy happens, he's right there. But no, what do people go into fear? And that's the issue. Until that feeling is gone, we are failing as a society. We are failing as a culture.
And but I'm also going to say I shouldn't have that fear. Well, no one around here in Sullivan County has given me a reason to fear. I've been pulled over going to Utica, and it doesn't matter. It's just a uniform. It just makes me nervous. And I didn't know what was going to happen. This was in Utica, one of those back roads. But you know what? The officer was so nice. I guess he saw my fear.
Yeah.
And he was so nice. So sometimes it depends. Yeah, it depends on the officer, because I've come in contact with, like Jason said, I've come in contact with so many more nice officers than them horrible ones that are out there, which is out there. It comes from leadership also. You being a leader, the top, that's what filtrates down to the bottom, the head. The way you set your example, as with any supervisor, the way you lead your group is how they're going to follow you. If you don't tolerate the shenanigans, then it's not going to happen.
And let me piggyback off that real quick, because I'm so glad you said that. I'll bring it back to something I said before. Our laws already check all the boxes on, is it legal? Does it protect us? Is it best for us? Does it keep us safe? But it doesn't check the boxes, like I said, about being ethical, being moral. Does it keep, is it protecting our psychological? You shouldn't be in fear of people. All our police know how to do police procedure. They all know how to pull somebody over. They all know what they're supposed to do in certain situations. What they don't know what to do is when it's outside of that parameter, when you have to be a person and handle a situation with a character, with a personality, and respond with either assertiveness or with more politeness, and that's a big issue that we have. And if I do become sheriff, I want to set that standard across the board, not only for police, but I want the police to feel safe as well. I want them to be able to I want it to be open communication to come to me if there's any time that you feel unsafe or doing that make you feel like you're not able to do your job correctly, you don't feel safe. We're gonna go over that real wide right away, because you can't do your job the right way if you don't feel safe, and you can't just not feel safe because of just the job you're in, because it is just a job, and it's you weren't drafted, it's a choice. So if you feel fear, it's
a choice. Yeah, me and Jason talked about that too. We talked about that.
Secondly, the big thing I want to do, and I think this is huge. I want a hotline. I want a phone number that any person, when you're in the region of Sullivan County, if you get pulled over and you feel as if things are getting out of hand, you can call, and the sheriff's department will show up and supervise, stand by, make you feel, because we want to not only protect the citizen from the police brutality, abuse of power, police, all that. We want to protect the police of false accusations, because the more prevalent it's going to be that it's known that police are getting in trouble or being accused of stuff, the more false accusations are going to come up. So that's to protect both. I want that to be used by the police too. Hey, we're having a hard time. We need the sheriff's department to come down. We're supposed to be the backup. We're supposed to be the top dogs, the sheriff's department. We're supposed to be the ones who come and make sure everything's all right, keeping law and order.
Well, it's kind of hard when you're short-staffed. And they're short-staffed. They're really short-staffed.
Sheriff can appoint deputies. He deputized the entire Sullivan County during COVID.
No, I don't want. There's some people that should not have a badge.
You're absolutely right, and that's why the sheriff needs to have his
body cameras.
I believe Troop F. I believe Troop F just started. I do want body cameras on every single cop in Sullivan County. I want that's huge too. I believe Troop F actually did just start that from Middletown, requiring their state troopers to have.
Troop F is Middletown. Okay.
Middletown, yeah, it's right over by Fridays and Outback. But yeah, we need to have some sort of open communication for when people feel in fear, because at the end of the day, these police departments are privatized. They're small towns. They're not held to the same standards as the sheriff. The sheriff is a public entity. They're held to the public standards. When there's a complaint, when there's something goes wrong in there, the public investigates, the government investigates. No internal investigation. No, we looked it out, we checked it out, it's all fine. The public is going to have records of that, so they're held to a higher standard, and I think that does contribute to why they do have set the bar high in how they function, because they are held to higher standards and they meet those standards for the most part. The sheriff's department. And I think the other departments need to be able to hold to the same standard. And if the sheriff's department has to be the one to do that, then that's what we'll do.
But the sheriff's department and all police officers also need to feel like they're protected, because you can have people doing false allegations against them, and then their supervisors calling them in just on the word of somebody who has an ought against them. Now that's not fair either. So it's like it's a rough situation. I would not want to be sheriff. No, I wouldn't want to be a police officer. None of that stuff like that. I mean, because it's people don't appreciate what they do.
Oh no, people. The first post that was put on Uncensored. Listen, I read that one. Only.
No, listen,
not you. It was someone else. It was months ago, and the comments that were on it it was literally just saying this guy's doing an interview, and there were people commenting like, "Sounds like a left guy to me." It's like, how do you get that from just his name? First of all, somebody was like, "I'm voting shift no matter what." No matter what. Yeah, what if shift comes out and it's like, "Yo, guess what? Everybody, you can't leave your house after 5 p.m. And also, I killed 3 people." You're gonna be like, "No matter what." It's a blind party, alliance. It's crazy. Listen.
And I'm glad you mentioned that.
It doesn't matter if there's some people in the community that look down on me or disagree with me. What bothers me the most is the leaders in our community who think it's a joke that I'm running because I am going to mention somebody's name right now. Our current DA, Megan Gallagher, she did an interview with Ecstasy Productions in Liberty when she was running against Frank LaBuda, and straight up said out of her mouth, and I'm not going to quote directly, but something about, well, if you think something needs to happen, you do it yourself. You can run. You can get involved. And that's what they want to tell you, because that's how they want you to feel and what you think. But as soon as somebody is part of the community and does want to get involved, what do they say? Who do you think you are? What do you think you know? And that's how they approached me. And I want people who don't know me.
They tried to bully you?
No.
Okay.
Britain, once somebody does pop up, what people fail to realize is as soon as I made the announcement to run, people came out of the woodworks. People love to talk. Oh my God. People love
they do.
The amount of people that have come to me and told me things about this community, about the people about this community, people who I was like, oh my God, I thought these two people were friends, and this person's telling me about this.
Right.
And these people, that's what I'm saying. The people in the public have no idea the things that I know.
They are cutthroat.
The first month I was in this, I can't even begin to tell you the things that people were just spewing out of their mouths to me. And I was like, I can't believe that this is how this place runs. But Megan Gallagher said that anybody, if you feel like you want to make a change, you feel like, get involved. And then when somebody like me gets involved, people in the community start asking, well, who does he think he is? He's nobody. He's this, he's that. And I want the citizens of our county to know. I want you guys to look at me. That's not what they think of me. That's what they think of all of us.
Oh, facts.
All of our citizens. What do we know? We don't know nothing. They know everything. They're smart. They know everything. And I've tried to contact people's offices. I'm not going to mention specific names who I've tried to contact. I've tried to contact certain people to no avail. Because when they say that we matter, when they say that we should get up and do something, and then we pretend that we matter, when we get up to do something, they say, who the hell do you think you are?
Right.
And that's not how I look at myself. That's not how my family will look at me. That's not how I look at the rest of the community. And that's not how I will look at everybody else if I'm in that position. And whether or not I ever get into a position or not, at least I'm starting the conversation, and I need it to be known that that's how this functions. Things happen behind closed doors. There's people who say a lot of bad things behind closed doors that talk a lot of nice politics stuff in our face. And it's not going to last forever.
No. Because I've heard things. I've heard things where I'm not going to get into it, but when I say it made my blood boil, I went off on the person that said it to me, because like you said, now people really, they want to come and they want to tell you things, something had went down, and my problem was, well, what did you say while this was going on? But what made that person so comfortable in that group that they felt that they can say it, because those people are co-signing everything that they say.
They know that they've said stuff like that around them before.
Yeah, absolutely.
They know that it's okay.
Yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, you can't let people get away with that. For example, the other day I was on Broadway, and it just happens to be Representative Antonio Delgado was coming down the street of Monticello.
Okay.
I don't really know who this guy is.
I'm trying to get him on the show.
Yeah. Oh, you should. He was a nice guy. One of my friends was, is that Antonio Delgado? I was like, I don't know. I was like, excuse me. He was like, yeah. And
he's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's tall. We were talking about basketball. I introduced myself, and he was with some other people from the community. They were doing. I told him I was running for sheriff, and he goes, "How's it going?" And as I told him I was running for sheriff, a member of our community, started laughing. And I looked at him. I was like, I pointed to him. I was like,
disrespectful.
I said, "That's how it's going." But we're gonna get it done anyway, because you're not just gonna laugh in my face, and I'm just not gonna pretend like I don't know why you're laughing.
Yeah.
Like we don't, and that specific person, we don't want to bring up their history because they have a way worse legal history than me. But we're not going to get into that.
But you let them tell it, right? I just, oh God.
Listen, at the end of the day, people can check me out. I'm a great person. I'm a person of my word. I have nothing but good intents. I have my family here. I own a business here. I worked with children here for many years. Parents know me. A lot of the kids that I worked with are of age to almost vote now. You won't find anything bad to say about me, besides maybe a Confederate flag in the back one of my pictures at a concert.
Yeah, I just had to.
Listen, and as me, I'm sitting here like, well, that's as worse as it can get. Knowing my life, I know myself. That's the worst thing that could be brought up about me. So,
but it wasn't a bad thing. It was just an observation.
The craziest part is that's the worst. That's the most controversial thing that can be brought up about me. I know everybody can take their time to look up.
Yeah, I'm not controversial.
All I want to do is make the community better. I'm not against anything that's going on now. So if people are against me and my ideas, it's just fear.
Yeah.
It's just fear. I'm not here to make anything worse. I'm not here to take away anything that you already have. I'm here to make it better. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to make sure that when unlawful things happen, that they're handled lawfully and correctly. One thing I've come to learn, society changes so quickly.
Yeah.
So quickly. Our everyday way of life changes so quickly. Our laws cannot keep up. So what the sheriff's responsibility to do is to be the middleman between the time that it takes the laws to catch up with society, and be the person to make the decision on enforcing things that there's no laws for yet, and not enforcing things that are outdated laws. That's a great example of what the sheriff is there for. Like, for example, drones. When drones first came out, there was no laws for them. There was no legislation where you can fly them, what you can take pictures with them. It was a very gray area. That's an example of a situation where the sheriff can come in and make a decision. Listen, there's no laws on this yet, but we're going to say in Sullivan County until they make a decision. If you fly it over someone's backyard and you're taking pictures, you're getting charged with trespassing. And we can figure it out later. But at the end of the day, there's law. We need law and order in life, right?
Absolutely.
There's plenty of law. There's not enough order. We need some order to this. We need open communication. We need somebody who's going to sit down and take the time to figure out what's best for the community, not just what fits the political agenda the best, not what goes along with the mainstream ideas is best. For example, while we were in the pandemic, there was plenty of unlawful, governors, executive orders coming down in many different states, especially New York. And there are plenty of sheriffs coming out and just simply saying, like, we respect everybody's freedom in this county. We're not going to be enforcing that. Don't worry. You can keep your bar open after 9. We're not going to arrest you. And that's what the power of the sheriff has, is make people feel safe, make people feel like they're cared for. Because when the governor comes out and says, everybody, you can't have more than 10 people at your house on Thanksgiving. Whether or not people knew it was serious or not, people were frustrated and upset, and you caused a negative energy in people and an upsetness and a fear. And for the sheriff to come out in other counties and say, like, we're not enforcing that, that's ridiculous. You can have whoever you want at your house on Thanksgiving. Those are little things that help the community relationship and help your transparency with the citizens that are just, I almost want to say, lazily skipped over.
See, to me though, that was just being safe, because I take COVID serious. I don't play around. And I know that was just an example, but I'm just saying, like,
and as the sheriff, you have to make decisions that may not be the safest, but your job is to protect their rights. And it may not be safe to go whitewater rafting, but if you're allowed to do that on that river, like, you're allowed.
I'm gonna be honest. I really don't like one person having all this power. And that's just my opinion. I think.
Well, and neither do I. And unfortunately, that's the power the sheriff has in New York State. The sheriff's powers match almost the governor's. If not, I'm saying is on the same level. The governor can come in and make an order, and the sheriff can blatantly deny it.
That's crazy.
I mean, but that's one thing JFK right here, he cared about a lot, was small government. He believed, the sheriff's position is based on old West. In the Old West, you would watch movies, and they would go in, and the sheriff would be there, like, we don't do that in this town. It's because they don't. In the South, they don't. But that's because that's the power the sheriff has. It's like, we know the laws, but in this community, we accept that you can park on the sidewalk, so it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Like little things like that. You have to go with what the community wants, even if it's against the regular laws. You want to hear something crazy? Sure. Did you know in New York State, it's against the law for more than 2 people to congregate in public with a mask on?
Well, then I'm going to jail because I will have my mask on.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. There's little things like that where the sheriff has the power to use his discretion and say, guess what? We're not enforcing this law anymore because it would be ridiculous under the circumstances.
But you know what? I think COVID examples are really bad for me because I'm wearing my mask. I'm getting shots. I don't go out. I'm not doing. Doesn't matter what the sheriff say or anybody else say. I'm gonna be safe for my own self. All that, like I said, all that power. I didn't know they had that much power, and it's like really, it's a bit much.
It's worse when it's that much power not being used for good.
Right.
That's worse than having all that power and it just sitting around as you're not using it for good.
Okay, now we have 1 minute. Tell the people why you should be the one, be it this election or next election, whichever one, why you should have all this power.
Because the power's not in me, the power's in the people. I don't make decisions. I don't make the decisions based on what Tyler wants, because if I made decisions based on what Tyler wants, then Tyler would have everything. But what Tyler really wants is the people to be happy, because Tyler tried. I tried. I really tried to get the things that I wanted by myself. And I realized you can't be happy if your environment is not positive, if the community you live in is not happy as well. Right. I grew up around here and it was a beautiful place. It was on the decline, but you could still, kids riding their bikes around, basketball courts in the middle of town, everybody out all day hanging out, having fun. You don't see kids out no more. Nothing's going on. There are businesses closing. There's our properties are being sold to people that are destroying it, people turning it to commercial, people that are doing nothing with it. Mm-hmm. We need to keep up with the times. The one thing I've heard from most people, especially other law enforcement officers, is that the sheriff's department and all other local departments are stuck in their ways. We need to keep up with the times. We need to have somebody who knows what's going on in today's world. We need to have somebody who relates to today's people. Mm-hmm. We need to have somebody who cares about our rights and freedoms first. Whether it be, again, like I said before, whether it be from somebody, another private citizen violating our rights, or whether it be from our own government violating our rights and freedoms. The definition of freedom does not mean freedom anymore. Real freedom would have been the Wild West. You can duel it out with somebody in the streets. You can just fight and leave and do whatever you want. We don't have freedom no more. We have rights and liberties. And what people want more than freedom is they want fairness and they want respect. We want everybody to be treated fair. I want to be able to drive down the road and not get pulled over and then not see a state trooper fly by me doing 100. Mm-hmm. That's not fair. And I want respect. When I do get pulled over and I say, I apologize, I don't want to speak without a lawyer, I don't want to be treated like an idiot and a child. I want respect. I want to be given my ticket and go about my way. Example of the way officials treat the everyday citizen today. I was in court for a traffic ticket last week. I was very dressed up nice because that's how you go to court. I had my briefcase. Like I said, I represent myself. The judge came out, had his mask off, was talking to me, joking around, telling old stories about bullying people. Came back out 5 minutes later, apologized with his mask on. Sorry, I thought you were a lawyer, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. Got on the stand. Got on the bench. And my case ended up being dismissed. I asked a question, and I can't even begin the switch of disrespect. Your case is dismissed, sir. I advise you to get the hell out of my courtroom. I just want to ask a question. It's done. It's over. You won. This is the same gentleman who, when he thought I was on their team, a lawyer, was being nice with me, joking around, bragging about me, no mask on, breaking a law in front of my face. Yeah. And simply because I asked if the officer who did not show up to trial was going to be held in contempt of court because he ignored a court order subpoena, which you're supposed to. Because if I didn't show up to trial, there would be a warrant for my arrest, correct?
I try not to go to court and get in trouble, so I don't know.
If you miss trial, there's a warrant for your arrest.
I'd be there.
Yeah, and I'm always there. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even subpoenaed. The officer's subpoenaed, court order subpoena, and if you don't answer, that's a violation of that subpoena. You should be held in contempt of court. Are they ever? Nope. But they wasted our tax dollars, money, going to trial, administrative paperwork. They wasted my time and money pulling me over, not showing up to court. It's the people versus Tyler Hutchens. Once that case is dismissed, I'm now representing the people, and I want to know why my tax dollars were wasted on this trial for this officer to neglect a court order subpoena.
Okay.
These are not things that should be going on. If we need fairness, we need respect, and we need to understand that the freedoms that we have now are different from the freedoms that we had years ago, and that times are changing. And we need somebody who's gonna not only understands them. In 4 years, I will have my law degree. I'm going to law school. I've applied to multiple places. I've been accepted to 2.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't want to go to those 2. I want to go to the 3rd one, so I'm waiting to hear back. But yeah, so if they want to enjoy their freedoms and feel safely around our community, I'm your guy.
Well, good luck to you. This was an interesting conversation.
Listen, I really appreciate the time. I'd love to be on again. I love to talk. Love to have
definitely after the election, because I invited everybody that was on before. that are running for office to come back on after, and we can talk about it. Like,
oh yeah, after November, I'm going real hard for the next election. You know, like I said, this was really just a peeking my head out, like, hey guys, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. So
okay, I hear you. All righty, so we're going to end this segment of Tea Time. Wait a second. I want to thank everybody for coming and watching. Once again, thank all my Facebook and YouTube followers. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share it. Once again, there will be no nasty comments tolerated on any of my posts because that's not how I get down. And this is Mr. Tyler Hutchens. He's running for Sullivan County Sheriff.
Go vote.
This election
and next election
if he doesn't win, which is might as well get ahead of the game. November 2nd. Is it?
Yeah,
is it November
2nd? Yep.
Okay, so November 2nd elections. So get out there, learn your candidates for yourself, people. Learn them. Don't let somebody tell you who to vote for. Get out there and you learn these people, look them up or whatever, because that's a problem also. You're letting your friends tell you who to vote for. So
for the TV.
Right. I will see you guys on Thursday where I have Nyasia Chanel, who's a local R&B artist. She will be on and we will talk about her journey. So you guys have a good night.